Yo, what's up, YouTube? Fight fans, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith, aka Keystone, and in today's video, we are literally going to break the matrix. This strategy that I have unveiled is so powerful that I kind of don't even want to talk about it on the internet, to be honest. I don't want this company to patch it. So, I do have some other looks that we are going to get into. This is going to be mostly about the DFS side of things. So, if you guys are on like Prize Picks, Underdog, and the main strategy that I'll be using, that I will give you a little bit of a big nudge at, is going to actually be on DraftKings Pick 6. So, if that is legal in your state, you're in the right spot. Let's buckle up and get straight into it. All right, boys. So, I have uncovered what I would call correlation in UFC. Now, if you're new to my channel, I'm more of a football and baseball correlation expert, but I'm also a very big fight fan. And I've uncovered a lot of correlation in UFC too that we can use to abuse some of these fantasy apps. Now, I will tell you that the correlation over on Underdog, it's not quite as good. And most of these sites like Better, Dabble, Prize Picks, they won't even really let you correlate certain things. Now, DraftKings is letting us do a big one. It's a mistake. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's absolutely massive. But I found some other ones on one of my partners, Underdog Fantasy, that I think do correlate at least somewhat well. So let's get right into it. If you're not on Underdog yet, boys, promo code SBA gets you $1,000 freaking dollar deposit match. Imagine walking into any casino in America and handing them $1,000 and expecting to get $2,000 back in chips to play with. It ain't going to happen. So take advantage if you got the cash. There is a link down below. Let's get straight into a couple slips here that I prepared for you guys. Slip number one. Now, I am not telling you that every single one of these slips is going to hit. These are some things that I built out that I actually think make sense from a correlation standpoint. If you're betting on 10x slips or more without correlation, you're pretty much just doing it wrong. At that point, you're picking four things. We've narrowed this down to two events, okay? Because these are two different fights. So we have the Manin Foriat versus Valentina Shevchenko fight. I think I pronounced that right. She's a legend. She's been around forever, as most of you fight fans know. But she's never really faced an opponent, I think, that has this level of takedown defense. I believe Manin is leading the entire division at 93%. 93% takedown defense. So my theory here, it's very simple. If this fight goes 5 rounds and Manin is able to defend takedowns, there's probably no world where a high volume striker like her doesn't hit this line. Now, Valentina, because of that, this is one way you correlate it. Like if she is not getting the takedowns and this fight stays standing, well, I think that Manin will probably win this fight then. So we'll take Valentina to get less fantasy points, because basically if she's not getting takedowns, she'll probably sneak in 1 or 2. But if she is getting 2 or less, the way the fantasy point system works, she would probably still need about 95 strikes in order to beat this number right here. So I think that's unlikely. Now, like I said, I don't know if the fight's going to go exactly that way, but this is how you build out correlation in your brain. You say, okay, well, I think this could happen. And then you just kind of build some slips around it. And what I like to do on these is I usually bet about $100 a unit on most of my slips. And on these type of slips, I like to just go quarter units. I like to do 25 to win 250 on these. And I'll get a bunch of different looks. I'd rather have a few different looks and get more, spread that money out a little bit than just kind of go all in on one slip. It's funner to me that way. There's still plenty of upside baked in. I mean, if one of these hits at a quarter unit, you just made 2.25 units in profit, one slip. So the next example is another one where I think that there's a strong chance that this up-and-coming kid, Navajo Sterling, has a good chance to finish Yvonne Urslan, I'd say in the first 2 rounds. So depending on how the fight goes, could be a heck of a lot lower than that even. I think the fight time is set at right around 2 rounds, like 9.5 minutes on most sites. So, the theory here is like, hey, if there's any grappling involved, if there's any mat time involved whatsoever, and then he ends up getting a finish, well, hopefully Ivan stays under his strike line. So like what we're really hoping here for is like a mid first round to late first round finish from Navajo, or early second roundish. Because if that happens, there's a strong chance Ivan is not going to hit this strike line, and Navajo's going to score very well because he got a finish. And so he should theoretically hit this fantasy point line. So take a screenshot. We're going to move on. I'm going to show you guys another example real quick. But before I do that, I got to tell you about this DraftKings Pick 6 strategy. It's literally the kind of thing I don't even want to talk about on the internet, because I'm so scared that if everyone finds out about this, that DraftKings is going to patch this. I 100% watched it last week. I was at UFC Kansas City and watched most of the fights fall right into this correlation that I'm talking about as a hack. Okay. And then last week in Des Moines, I saw every single fight that I had exposure to. They all went one way or the other. They all paired together except one. And it's going to happen sometimes, but this correlation is so freaking powerful. I'm telling y'all, it's going to be a freaking moneymaker for us. So if you are on DraftKings Pick 6, you should strongly, and I mean strongly, consider getting on this VIP week pass. Now, I limited this pass to 10, and I just sent this out to my free winnable plan. So it looks like a couple people have already gotten on. So take, this is going to get you every single slip that I set for the weekend starting today. And it's going to get you all my book stuff, any parlays I said on an actual sports book, plus every DFS slip that I set. I am blessed enough to live in a state that has very good DFS access and sportsbook access, a traditional sportsbook state. So I'm pretty excited about this weekend. I truly believe we are going to crack the matrix and make a ton of freaking money this weekend. So let's get into that other underdog example that I have for you guys. And then, yeah, I'll see you guys on the VIP. So the next slip is a very similar setup. Now, at first glance, I even had a buddy say, well, why did you take this? And what he was talking about was this Kyle Prepolek fight where I took the understrikes, but I also took Benoit Saint Denis, his opponent, under takedowns. Now, normally you would naturally think you want to do the opposite. Like, this guy's not getting the takedowns, that means this guy's getting the strikes. However, in this particular fight, I think that this fight probably has a finish by Benoit in the first round. It could be very quickly. I don't see a world where if he does take this fight to the mat, that he needs a second takedown. I just don't see him needing that second one. I think if he gets to the mat, he'll probably submit him. I think that he's got enough power on the feet in his hands to absolutely get a knockout finish. I think this was a juicy little fight that the UFC set up for him in Canada. And yeah, I don't see a world where this guy's getting to 17 strikes in one round if he even makes it through there. So it's the same kind of thing. And then it's a little different though, because like I said, my theory is like he's not going to need that second takedown, even if he gets one, right? Okay, so and then the other example, and this fight right here, to me, boys, I could really honestly see it going either way. I really could. This is a true good old fashioned what you call a pick'em between Daniel Lee and, Daniel Santos and Jung Lee. And honestly, I just picked a side for this slip. That doesn't mean I believe this is fully what's going to happen. It's just another look. And you can flip this on its head if they have the fantasy points for Daniel Santos, if you think he's going to be the victor. Whoever you think could win, you just stick the fantasy points over, and then it's kind of the same thing. Now, the fight time on this one is a little higher than, what it was on that other fight, the Benoit Saint Denis fight. But I still think that we saw Hyder Emil in his last fight really get, just ambush this guy, and I think they're both a little reckless. I could see a finish here probably in the first 10 minutes. And I think that's right around where the fight time line is at, sitting at two minutes on most of these DFS sites, or excuse me, at 2 rounds. So 10 minutes, 9.5 minutes, somewhere in that range. So as long as we don't have like a flurry finish here, they're both just banging. Hopefully we just get it done with like a nice little solid punch, and he stays under the strike line and he'll go over his fantasy points. What you're banking on here really is just you try to look for a couple of fights that you think get end quickly, because if they end quickly, you're not getting to these strike lines more often than not. And significant strikes, what I've learned too betting on these are they're very subjective to whoever's tallying them. I feel like at the numbered events, we get a slight increase usually. So, like, they'll count a little more. I've also noticed that anything on the mat when you are down there, they very rarely count anything as an actual significant strike, unless it's like elbows or it's like you have a really good position where you basically initiating a ground and pound where you are getting full like extension where it's not just little like side hits to the gut or anything like that, right? So we'll see what happens, but I do like these slips. I think they're worth setting for a shot at 10 extra money. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys. And make sure you head over to winnable.com/SBAA and sign up on the VIP pass. Take a chance this weekend. Hopefully I'm right about this strategy. It still comes down to how I combo some things, but I'm telling y'all, it's going to be powerful. We're going to break the freaking matrix, man. All right, boys, let's win some money this weekend. Peace.